What do you need to grieve? I'm Anne Margaret with this week's Sacred Sunday message to raise the vibration of your body, mind, and spirit. So today, in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to be talking to you about just a couple ways that it's very important right now to grieve, to get to the heart of what is stirring inside and talk about the virus, talk about the earth and how the earth is grieving. So at the end, we'll pull two cards of intuition to access the more subconscious influences for us. And then I'll also give you some aromatherapy tips for this. And and some tools to navigate this. So let's get started. So our lungs are where we hold grief, unexpressed grief. We know anybody who's been stretching in a yoga class and then all of a sudden starts crying or starts feeling anger knows firsthand, and maybe you've experienced that in other fitness classes, that you are holding something in your body that hasn't been expressed, some sort of emotion. We hold this in our jaws. We hold this in our backs. Sometimes when our backs seize up, it's because we haven't released a lot of the energy or the tension from not expressing the emotions that we need to release in going through whatever we're going through in our lives. So when we look at the lungs being the place where we're holding our grief, we know that the grief cannot be released until we find forgiveness. And I've done a lot of lives on forgiveness and talking about letting go and surrendering. But in order to fully grieve, we need to find that ability to forgive ourselves first and foremost for not being perfect, for being human, but also forgiving others, forgiving circumstances, letting go of making whatever happened a self-perpetuating victimization that just keeps going on and on and on and keeps victimizing you. We need to grieve to heal. And if you look at the coronavirus is attacking our lungs. And we are going through this on a global scale, all of humanity, not just Americans, not just a couple countries. Almost every single country in this world is going through this. And it's truly, if you look at this from a metaphysical perspective, and one of my great heroes, I have to give a shout out to Louise Hay, who just devoted her life to understanding the metaphysical causes for our physical ailments. If you don't know her, look up You Can Heal Your Life. She has had devoted her entire life to understanding the emotional or the energetic or the spiritual reasons why we suffer on a very physical, very real, tangible plane, our bodies. And so if we look at the lungs and collectively this virus is attacking our lungs, what do we need to grieve? Not just ourselves, but what do we need to grieve as a species, as a race, as a planet? What is the earth grieving? And there is a very beautiful message. I'm an interfaith practitioner and minister, so I've studied all the world religions and helped to bridge gaps between people of different faiths. But I was raised Catholic, and Pope Francis is such an extraordinary leader to look to at this time and what he is offering. And just 2 days ago, he came out and he said such a beautiful message, blessing the entire planet and blessing all nations. And he said, this pandemic has exposed our vulnerability and uncovers those false and superfluous certainties around which we have constructed our daily schedules, our projects, our habits, and priorities. And I would go even further to say, yes, we have structured our schedules and our priorities around things that we realize now, and we're realizing this time in quarantine, aren't so important, are they? They're not so important. What comes down to when we are facing our own mortality and the mortality of those we love, what really matters is time. What really matters is connection, is intimacy. And I would go even further than saying that we've constructed our schedules and our priorities to, we have structured our identities, our self-worth around things that are not important. They are not important. Our extrinsic sense of power and prestige. When it comes down to the very end, and I have a lot of friends who are end of life doulas. They assist people at the end of the life. A lot of people I went to seminary with do this work now of helping people transition from this life into letting go of their physical bodies and moving on. And the thing that they say more than anything is that they really wish they wouldn't have spent so much time stressing, worrying, doubting themselves, or holding money or security or safety as their focus, but rather human connection, really true time spent with others, and really understanding that the impact we are making on this earth and on each other is so important. Recognizing their soul purpose and how they are using their gifts and their talents, their money, their time to build up constructively something that they can offer this world, rather than taking advantage or using others or stepping on others or trying to sell something to others that is not going to support them but is just going to make some money. So there's a beautiful quote by one of my favorite songwriters and singers. She's incredible, Alanis Morissette. She has a lyric from her song that says, "What if I knew how great I was 5 minutes before I died? I'd be filled with such regret." What if, right? And we are at this incredible time collectively that what if we can stop and marvel at the miracle that we are? Not related to what we do, not related to our bank account, not related to our status, or how famous or not famous we are, how recognized we are. What if we just acknowledge the miracle that we are, that we're living, we're alive, we're breathing, our heart is beating for us. We don't have to remember to breathe, our body just breathes for us. Remembering how far we've come, where we started, all of us can be proud of something in our lives that we have moved through. Have we celebrated that? Have we really truly taken a look at the ways that we have forfeited our power, our freedom, our connection to each other, our inner peace by prioritizing something that just doesn't matter, that's superfluous? Now, I love another thing that Pope Francis said a couple days ago. It says, "It is a time to decide to live differently, live better, love more, and care for others." Every community is filled with people who can be role models. You can be a role model right now with how you are reacting to what's going on in the world right now. It's not who we are in the greatest of times. It's who we are in the most challenging of times that truly tests us. And he also goes on to say, Pope Francis says, celebrate all of these individuals who are not typically celebrated, the teachers, the medical professionals, those who are in emergency situations, our hospitals, our doctors, our nurses, our emergency workers who are not famous. They are day-to-day workers who give their souls to this work to help others, who, even though are faced with fear, their own mortality, putting themselves in danger's way, are doing whatever they can to help. They are giving their lives. We saw this in New York City. Those of us who were living there, we saw firsthand, didn't we? And those around the world saw those emergency workers in 9/11 give their lives. And those everyday heroes, those teachers who teach our kids, who are doing everything online now and doing everything they can to help our children and adults learn and continue to grow. And all of those people giving tirelessly working towards a cure. Who can you be in the face of this? How can you be a hero to your family, to yourself, and recognizing the brilliance of what you have to offer? So let's get back to grief. When we have been giving our lives to our own greed, to things that are not sustainable, to things that will not last the test of time, it can be very upsetting. Many of us are looking at what we've been doing for a living, what we've been giving our day-to-day to, and realizing that our life is quickly passing us by right now. That we have wasted precious time and sacrificed time with our families, time to get ourselves healthy. We've really spent so much time building this huge nest egg of money, but have sacrificed the things that truly matter in our lives. And in order to heal, we must grieve. We must recognize what hasn't been working. If we have been holding a grudge against somebody, we must offer forgiveness to be able to heal right now. We must let go and alchemize the role that that person has played in our life, from perpetrator of violence, perpetrator of pain, of suffering, into a very unpredictable teacher, that we can see them just because we choose to see them as a teacher rather than somebody who has harmed us. For we know that they don't receive the credit that we have overcome those obstacles. They don't receive the credit for how we have persevered and endured in our lives. They don't receive that credit, but they do receive the credit for causing something in our lives that was so tough that we needed to be somebody more than who we were to grow. So we can offer love towards them, thank them for the challenge that they had been in our lives, or have been in our lives, or currently are in our lives, as a roadblock, as a challenge, as an obstacle that we must overcome to know ourselves, to know our capability, and to recognize the miracle that we are. That's how we alchemize our victimizers, the people who have perpetrated pain and suffering in our lives, and find peace in our heart and forgiveness. And when we find forgiveness, then we can grieve, we can let go, we must emote, we must let those tears come out of our eyes, we must rage and feel this in our bodies to let go of this hold within us. And when we forgive, when we grieve, then we heal collectively. All right. I recommend 2 very specific aromatherapies to help with this, to harness the power of Mother Earth and what she's given us through our trees, our plants, our flowers. One is called Console, and the other is Forgive. Console is for grief, Forgive is obvious. I put it in the notes. I highly, highly recommend those 2 oils at this time. Okay. And I put links there as well. If you're interested and you want some one-on-one coaching, either with you and your partner for couples counseling, or for you personally, email me. I do a sliding scale to make it accessible to everybody. Really want to make sure that you get the help you need right now. Also, I'm teaching online classes. Also, Anthony is teaching online classes, both yoga and also personal training. So that's also sliding scale. Let's pick a couple cards, okay, so that we can pull on our intuition to see what we can look at right now. The Goddess card, compassion. This is coming up a lot lately. Compassion, Kuan Yin. Release judgments about yourself and others and focus on the love and light within everyone. Forgiveness, recognizing the teachers that are in our lives, okay? That's a really, really important one. Compassion. Remember Kuan Yin. Think of that beautiful, beautiful goddess of the Buddhist tradition. All right. Now let's pull an archetype card. Mentor. This is calling on your ability to be a teacher, to be a leader in this time, passing on wisdom and refining a student's character. Super, super critical right now. The shadow is inability to allow the student to move on to the role of master. All right, so we must look to our own inner teachers right now and recognizing that wisdom that we all have, and also be that leader for those in our life. Be the light, be that healing you want to see in the world, as Gandhi so beautifully said. Feel free to share this if you want somebody else to raise the vibration of their life, their body, their mind, their spirit. I'll see you next time. Until then, keep raising the vibration. Be brave, forgive, grieve. Love you.